What's doing, everybody? Today is Thursday, August 1st. Joining me on the podcast today, Officer Brandon Tatum and American Principles Project President Terry Schilling. We've got a lot to dissect. Let's get to it. I'm Alec Lace. This is the Alec Lace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, let's do this. Welcome, everybody, to the Alec Lace Show. I'm happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this broadcast on Rumble, please, as always, get down there, hit the like button, follow the channel, and share the broadcast with everybody in your network, in your neighborhood, and let them know what you think about the program here. I've got some great guests joining me on the podcast today. We started a new month here. We are now in August. July, I had at least 15 guests. Let me put some of them up on a board here for you guys to check out. If you missed out on any of July's guests, please go back through and take a look. I had Tulsi Gabbard, Rob O'Neill, Congressman Tim Burchett, Governor Tate Reeves, actor Dean Cain, Sean Parnell, Darren Beatty. So please, if you missed out any of the June episodes, go back, take a listen to the interview portions of them. You'll find them all right here on Rumble. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, just scroll through the previous episodes and go check them out. And we are starting August off with a bang. Amazing guests joining me on the podcast today. We're going to have Officer Brandon Tatum up first. Right now, Trump just went yesterday into a very hostile environment. He went to the Black Journalists Convention, and boy, was the ABC reporter nasty to Donald Trump. I mean, when he went in there, they came guns blazing at Donald Trump. He handled it cool. He handled it calm. So obviously the left is playing the identity politics game. We know they're going to be ramping this up. So we're going to get into some of that stuff and more with Officer Brandon Tatum. And the left, they have an all-out attack on the American Nuclear Family Unit. We know that. It's been apparent for years that they've been doing this, and they are attacking parental rights. And one of the groups that is fighting back against this is the American Principles Project. Their president, Terry Schilling, they just launched an $18 million campaign to fight back for this. So we're going to get into that when I bring Terry onto the podcast. So buckle in. We're going to get to it. First off, let's start with this here because I got to share this with you. I'm only going to give you a 30-second clip because I don't think you could stomach any more of it. You would probably crash the car if you had to listen to more than... If you're in the car listening to this, you'd probably run off the road if I play more than 30 seconds of this. But I'll give you about 30, maybe 40 seconds. Let's see how much of the clip I'll play here. This was the White Women for Harris. They had this Zoom call where they had a bunch of liberal white women get together on a call. And it sounds just... The leader of this thing sounds just about as bad as you would imagine it was. I don't even know her name. It says it on the thing, so you can look at it. She's an influencer, a TikToker, lunatic. But listen to this, how cringe this is. And this is really how these liberal white women talk when they talk about black people. I mean, this is wild. So listen to this.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change. As white people, we have a lot to learn and unlearn. So do check your blind spots.
Yeah, if you haven't turned off the program yet, where do they find these people? Where do they get these people like this? So this girl has to be putting on an act. I mean, this is terrible. Put on your listening ears. And this is the kind of same vernacular they use when white liberal women talk to black people or about black. They talk down. They talk condescending. They talk like little babies. Like, oh, we're the white privilege and we have to help out the poor, struggling black person. They don't need your help. They don't need to be talked to like they're little babies. But this is what you get from these crazy, lunatic, left-wing women. And this is how bad does that sound? Oh, BIPOC people. What the hell is a BIPOC person? So this is the type of stuff that we're getting with the white women for Harris. Imagine you did something like this, white women for Trump. It would be like called a KKK meeting is what they would call it. But that's what you could call this. This was horrible, man. And now if you think that was bad enough, wait till you see this one. The white dudes for Harris, they had to get into the mix here. And look at the picture here, right? Look at this. Like imagine this was what came up when you were doing your dating app. Look at the faces on this stuff. Yeah, now some of the big, huge names they had was, I think the way that you could attend one of these Zoom calls was, I think the minimum was stage 8 or higher Trump derangement syndrome, because you had Mark Hamill, who has disgraced the whole Star Wars character that he played, because this guy is one of the most left-wing lunatics, or I should say Trump derangement syndrome sufferers that we have on the planet. So you had guys like that. David Hogg, the little guy that does the anti-gun stuff. I mean, you had all these guys. I'm not even going to play. You know what? I'm not even going to play a video because it was so gay to listen to some of these guys talking. Again, it's the same thing about how they struggle. Here was one of the things on Twitter. This guy put, look at this exchange about how bad this was. This guy Storm on Twitter puts, "I've been to gay bars that were less gay than the white dudes for Harris call." And then somebody said, "You go to gay bars? What for?" The guy puts, "To pick up dudes." The guy goes, "Fair enough, carry on." I thought that was a funny exchange. Define Els put it. But that's exactly what this. The white dudes for Harris was about as pathetic as you can imagine. They raised some money for the Harris campaign. These are the type of things they're coming with, to raise money. The other thing that they had was their big campaign rally, which was basically a free concert. The main attraction was this Megan Thee Stallion. What's funny is people got on me for the video of what I said about Kamala Harris, calling her the OG Hawk 2 girl. And that was the worst thing they ever heard, they said. The worst thing they ever heard. They could never heard anything worse than that. Well, they've never listened to a Megan Thee Stallion record. I can tell you that, because if they did, that would be the worst thing they ever heard. Because the lyrics from this woman are classless, tasteless, and just total, utter trash. Here is a video of her at the rally, shaking her ass like this is what they're supposed to do. We're all gutter trash. We shake and twerk, and that's all we're good for. And that's the message that these people, like Megan Thee Stallion, like these other twerkers and these other music industry people, want the little girls to look up to and be like and act and emulate. That's what they want you to do. And you're playing this at a political rally and want to be taken seriously. Now, this thing was obviously an optics event. They had a free concert so they could pack the place and they could get the video footage that they're going to need to run the Kamala campaign. We know that Donald Trump has never had to have celebrities show up at his rallies. He gets twice as many people as showed up to the Harris thing. But they did get people there. Now, one of the things that I found to be interesting about this thing, Des Bryant, I'll put this up on the board here. Des Bryant, the football player, he was responding to somebody's tweet, and he quote tweeted it. There was a guy was calling out black people for criticizing this thing and calling it ghetto. They were criticizing. So Des Bryant quote tweets it and puts, "I think it's a slap in the face to black people who fight for our voice in America. The crowd looked uncomfortable. Have some integrity. Twerking at a rally is wrong. Will never be taken seriously. You basically said the black people who prefer class and professionalism care about acceptance from white people. Your frequency vibration is very low." Right? And he says, "I'm a proud black man." So that's what you get. You can't even read the lyrics to the song. She performs these songs. Now, she had to dumb down the songs because she couldn't actually say the words that were in the song because it would probably be illegal. You know what I mean? It's so bad. Here's a comparison. I threw this tweet up yesterday. Lyrics before Donald Trump enters a rally. "I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free." Lyrics before Kamala Harris enters. "Any N-word I let hit is still attached. But my pussy fat." Right? How terrible is that? I feel guilty even just reading that you had to hear it. But it's like, that's a very mild verse from the songs that come out of this girl's mouth. And they get mad, right? They say, "Oh, Donald Trump said grab him by, they let you grab him by this." And all the pink white mafia, the pink hat mafia was all over the place. "Oh, pussy grabber, and they were wearing their hats that looked like the women genitalia. They went crazy over this. Here's a girl that talks about it and about how many people she lets have it and throwing it. It's the most vile thing you could hear. And everyone's like, oh, it's culture. That's okay. We're not going to criticize that. Them white women for Harris ain't going to say a damn word about it. They'll never criticize it. They'll be, oh, we love that type of music. Oh, it's so culturally sound and perfect. It's trash. So we're going to get into all of this stuff now. Obviously, like I said, my video that went viral, I called the Kamala Harris the OG Hawk Tour girl. Everybody got into the mix. And Jon Stewart, I'll say, I'm going to play Jon Stewart's because I thought this was kind of, I can laugh at myself. And I thought his take was kind of, was funny. I had a chuckle at it. So let me share that with you first.
Isn't there a grosser way you can say that?
Kamala Harris, she's the original Hawk Tour girl. That's the way she got where she is.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of substantive and elevated take from a guy who looks like he's one Mike's Hard Lemonade away from getting in a fight at his sister's wedding. You little tuft of hair on it. You're not fooling anybody, Baldy. So sexist saying Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. Joe Biden and Donald Trump literally slept their way to the top, and we never heard a peep about it.
Always go for the hair. It's always the hair. My kids get on me for that, too. They break my chops about the hair. I'm holding on to what I got left here. If you don't like it, too bad. But yeah, I mean, at least he attacked me, right? So a lot of these different ones that came out about me attacking my family, my wife, my daughter. Jon Stewart, I think, did it. He came at me. I thought what he said was pretty funny. So I'm not afraid to laugh at myself. But everybody chimed in on this video, including my next guest, Officer Brandon Tatum. Here was his take on the video.
I literally almost peed myself laughing at this clip. Nick played the clip, and I wasn't expecting this dude to say what he said on national TV. And neither was this lady or neither one of these guys expected the guy with the tie right here to say what he about to say.
Yeah, and then there's the DEI press secretary telling you that the DEI vice president is the future of the party here. And so the future looks kind of dim for the Democrats here, but this is no shocker either. Kamala Harris, she's the original Hawk Tour girl. That's the way she got where she is.
The men are laughing. He's laughing. She's mortified. Women got such, thin skin when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, men find this to be comical just like this, man. She is absolutely mortified that he would make a joke like this. A lot of these women that be mortified about this be the main ones, the Hawk Tuin. Roll the clip.
The party's going downhill if it's in her hands.
That was tough. That was harsh.
All right, so I've seen his. I like Brandon's take. I like what he does. I like what he stands for. He's a former football player, turned cop, then turned political commentator, podcaster, YouTuber. The guy has got fantastic stuff. He's always good, as you saw in the clip right there. So let's bring Officer Brandon Tatum onto the podcast.
You're listening to the Alec Lake Show. The future is family.
All right, here we go. Joining me now, Officer Brandon Tatum. Welcome to the Alec Lee Show.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? The video that I had on Fox there went viral. Everybody, was making comments on this. Jon Stewart had it. The Breakfast Club had it. I thought your take was pretty funny, so I wanted to kind of bring you on here to get it. Now, people were really, really bent out of shape about two things. First one was the DEI comment, which I think, now they're trying to say that it's a bad thing, but they've been promoting it as a good thing. So as far as I know, Kamala Harris was selected as a DEI vice president, was she not?
10,000%. I mean, you got to be completely out of your mind and have a disconnected brainstem to think that somehow she was selected on a merit. She ran for president, if people have forgotten, and she sucked. So she dropped out. She got demolished by Tulsi Gabbard, and nobody wanted her to be the president. So she wasn't even competitive on any level running for office. And while she's in the position she's in, she is probably the lowest rated vice president in American history. So it's clear that Joe Biden said out of his own mouth, same thing with Ketanji Brown Jackson. He said, I'm going to pick a black woman for the Supreme Court. I'm going to pick a black vice president. He picked her because of the color of her skin and her sex. And anybody that tried to deny that is just being disingenuous.
Right, and it goes completely against everything that we've been told is to, judge somebody based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. This goes completely against that. But they have turned this DEI now. They're trying to attack it, saying it's the new N word. Like, so when you mention DEI, it's them that created it. But when you mention it, they get all bent out of shape. So how can you even win? It's like, this is what they're telling you it is. They celebrate it. They say it's a good thing. But when you say it, it's suddenly it's the N word. I think that's out of control.
Yeah, it's completely crazy that they would compare that to the N-word. You know, when the N-word was established a long time ago, there were black people taking whips to the back and being hung on trees when people used to use that word in a derogatory manner. Now we can forget about the word because black people use it more than anybody else. Black people probably use it more than slave owners would use it combined in the total history of slavery. I mean, I remember when I used to use the word, I used to do it every single day. I mean, 5 times a day. Every time I talk to my friends, in. So people got to get over that. Quit trying to act like it's such a big a boogeyman word when black people use it all the time. And I'll say this too. I find it quite ironic that if you say being a conservative, you say that's a DEI hire, but the same white liberal can turn around and call Clarence Thomas Uncle Tom. Can you explain that to me? Uncle Tom is really another N word. That's another way of saying you are in. And because he's a conservative, white liberals call him Uncle Thomas, Uncle Tom. It's insane to me, dude. I'm mind blown at the hypocrisy.
They also too, like when I had Larry Elder on here, they called him the black face of white supremacy. So it seems like for the white liberals, it's open season on black conservatives. They're allowed to. I know one person threw an egg at Larry Elder. Why? I'm wearing a monkey mask, and there was all silence on it. It snores from the left completely. So there's definitely a double standard, no doubt.
100%, and we see it. I mean, every rational person can see that's a double standard. And I heard somebody say this a long time ago. If it wasn't for double standards, the left wouldn't have any standards. These people are deranged. They hate America. They hate God. And they're going down the wrong path. I think that they're kind of possessed, or it's got to be something wrong with a person's brain that when you become an adult, you can't see through the minutia that they're pushing. I just saw Kamala Harris yesterday Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage, and like, what are y'all doing? And then had a rapper on there talking about gun violence, and all he rap about is gun violence. So, these people, I'll say this, a lot of people are stupid and they're gullible. I would argue that 60% of the population is dumb and gullible, and they don't mean to. Some people are willfully ignorant. Some people are just ignorant because they were brought up to be sheep. But I think it's 60% of the population. People like you and I and the people that are listening to us are the cream of the crop. Most people just go wherever you tell them to go. They put something out on the news. Donald Trump is a racist, and they go with it. When just like yesterday, he wasn't a racist to anybody. Before he ran for office, they loved him. They up on his armpit, taking pictures with Trump, rapping about Trump. Everybody bringing him on the show. We love Trump. We love Trump. The man say I'm a Republican, even though he voted for Democrats, even though he donated to Democrats. Now he's a racist white supremacist. It's insane to me.
And well, that really got exploited during COVID. You could see how easily they could move people around in any direction they wanted to. They have full control over the minds. There's no doubt about that. But the other part, obviously, now about the video that went viral with me talking on Fox was because I called her the Haktua girl, the OG Haktua girl. Now, I said the Haktua video had just gone viral maybe a week and a half before I was on there. And so it was fresh on my mind. Now, I'm using this based on Willie Brown himself admitting that he takes responsibility for advancing her career by appointing her to 2 positions worth over $400,000. So it wasn't like I made this entire thing up. And then to contrast that, you talk about Megan Thee Stallion. People were saying they've never heard a more offensive thing when I called her the Haktua girl. Yet they're listening to Megan Thee Stallion. If you read those lyrics, you wouldn't be allowed to say them past any radio station.
1,000%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, what more of Haktua do you not understand than a woman on her knees working her way to the top? It's not us just saying this, right? It's not me and you just coming up with some derogatory because we don't like Kamala Harris. Willie Brown literally stated that they had an affair, and that's how she advanced in her career. What else are they doing? Do we need a hidden camera? She doing the Haktua. That's how she got to the point she's at. And you think that's the first time she's done that? I mean, I would argue, if I'm a betting man, I'd bet that she's probably done that many times. I see her in Montel Williams. She in a picture with Montel Williams. Why she in a picture with him? She a side chick. So I'm not like, we don't need to parse words and try to babysit these people. It is what it is. And then, like you said, Megan Thee Stallion is the nastiest, freakiest girl I ever heard in my life. Who knows the nasty stuff she actually do? I think she even have her OnlyFans. But women, women are so. This is what's crazy about it. Women get offended if a man, like the woman on the Fox, she was butthurt. I mean, I think she wanted to pass out.
In Dagan's defense, she's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. She's got a slide tongue herself there, but I think it shocked her that I said it right on air like that. I think that's really what happened.
Right, because
she's all right.
Men and women are different, man. You know what I'm saying?
Lost the audio there.
But men and women are different, right? The men were laughing at you. I was laughing. I think she was slightly mortified just a little bit. But the women that follow Kamala Harris and all these leftist brain dead women, they get so offended if a man, like on Olympics, he make a joke about women taking a long time putting makeup on. Oh my God, they're misogynist. It'd say a woman is not, this woman is not qualified. Oh, he's sexist. But the most degenerate, nasty, derogatory things said about women is done in Megan Thee Stallion's music videos and just her presentation of what a woman is. Then they let men turn into women and beat up women in sports. These people are just crazy to me. And I don't know how most Americans don't look at it and say, that just don't make no sense. It makes no sense.
It's wild to see, and you think the fake outrage is really what it is. They're fake outrage because even and look at the other black women in that genre. Like you have the Cardi B, the Sexy Red, the lyrics of what they're saying, and you have young 13, 14-year-old girls that are singing these lyrics, and it can produce zero positive outcome in your life by bumping that into your brain. There's no positive to it, and it's just destroying the minds of so many youth. And everyone's acting like it's cool, it's hip, it's okay, and it's not a problem. This is a major catastrophe for the youth in this country to be listening to stuff like this.
And they wonder why they're at Planned Parenthood all day long. They wonder why they're shooting each other on the weekends. It's because they're one thing that I do before I go to bed, and I've been doing this for years, is that I do what we call affirmations. So when I go to bed, I listen to positive affirmations because I'm conditioning my subconscious mind. These people are listening to degenerate, violent, sexualized content at the age of 12 all the way up to their 35, and they're literally programming their subconscious mind to be degenerate. And then when you see on TV, all the movies that black people are in are movies of slavery. When you see all of the hip hop artists and that are supposed to be people who are leading, they're all frauds. I mean, you go down the list, there's probably one or two that was decent. Black people in America are literally programming their subconscious to be victims, to hate each other, to hate white people, to hate America. And some people escape it, but I think it consumes a lot of black people in America. That's why you see them voting one way. Look, I don't care how you vote, but it's crazy if 93%, 98%, 92% of people are voting for one party. And in voting for that one party, they still complaining that America is not for them. What are we doing here?
Yeah. For decades, they've been doing it. And you say, I always like to quote Jim Rohn, who once said, beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but be aware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. And it matters what you put into your mind. It's going to have an output. Just like you go to the gym to build muscles, what you put into your body and eat nutritious is going to make it healthy. If you eat bullshit, it's going to make it bad. It's the same with the mind. And that is what's happening here. But let me just switch because I know I'm going to run up against the clock with you here. They're calling this now because we see the people that showed up, obviously, for the concert, to see Kamala. We're hearing the left saying this is 2008 energy, as if this is the same type of momentum that we saw with President Barack Obama. I don't quite buy that myself. It is a lot better for them to have Kamala than Joe, just because she can actually, then again, she's a word salad person, so she doesn't really make much more sense. But it seems like the momentum is definitely bigger behind her than Joe. What's your take on that?
I think that what happens is there's an initial inertia of enthusiasm, right? You got a lot of money being pumped in. I done gotten 15, 20 emails from Kamala Harris and them, and I send a middle finger every time I get an email from or a text message. But they send me messages every single day. So there's an influx in popularity because she hasn't been pressed yet. They went from a dead man that had the most horrifying exposure in a debate, a horrifying performance in a debate in United States history. The man is dead. He's stumbling and doing this. I mean, to go from that, you can put in, I don't know, the boogeyman, and you'll get more popularity than Joe Biden. So there's initial inertia, right? And you got these ignorant, emotional people, mostly women, that are saying, oh my God, we have Kamala. I'm voting for her because she's a woman, because she's an AKA, because he's a black woman. And you're going to have a little bit of momentum there. But once the rubber hits the road, once people say, okay, with the Megan Thee Stallion and all this other stuff, what's happening with my money? Why are these gas prices not going down? Why are interest rates not going down? I can never afford to buy a home. I can't buy groceries for my family. Like, I'm going to have to start making some serious sacrifices in life. I may not have 4 kids that I want because I can't afford them now. When people start looking at that, juxtaposed to what she's saying nothing. She, like, all of this hoopla, but what policies is she going to put in place that's going to help the American people? And obviously there's nothing there. So yeah, the cute new girl has come to the school. It's a lot of hype around her. It's a lot of, expectations. But when you take her on a date and you realize she's dumb, the expectations are going to drop and people are going to move away from her.
Yeah, one of the things too is that we have a short period of time to go here too. So there's obviously, I think Trump in a debate with her, they're going to try to play this whole thing as he's mansplaining to her. They're going to accuse him of being misogynist or sexist every time he tries to talk to her. But for the black community, many black communities, just like every community, has been flooded with illegal immigrants that are sucking up the resources of their city, and they're committing crimes and murders. And she is the border czar, and she's trying to escape that title. They're trying to rewrite history on that. But if you're Trump, you have got to pin that title right to her forehead when you go into this debate, because that's, I think, the key to when it comes down to the two of them going together.
Alec, they've gone too woke, man. They can't come back from this. They've already jumped across the fence. There ain't no coming back. Because when they start addressing the illegal alien issue, all they're going to say is that, well, Republicans, we had a bill, and Republicans, no, y'all fools had 4 years to do something. You didn't do nothing. You were responsible for the border, and it's the biggest catastrophe in American history. And then when people are listening to her talk, she can't really come against the immigration issue, because the illegal immigration happened under her guidance in the administration of her and Joe Biden. So she got to evade it and try to act like illegals are totally okay, and it's just innocent people coming to get opportunities. She has to stay woke, and the people are going to look at her side-eyed. Like, wait a minute. I don't want to hear that stuff when these people are getting free hotel stay. They're getting cards with money on them, free health care. When they get pregnant, they probably come over here half pregnant. They go have babies in the hospital. You got to sit on the sideline, or you got to compete with them during COVID. What are we even talking about? These people are, that it's crazy to me, because the media never covers this, but the American people are feeling this. There's no way in the world that there's like 15 million people that have possibly come into this country illegally, and people aren't feeling it. I mean, there is, Phoenix Valley, where I live at, is probably about 4 million people live in Phoenix. You're talking like 3 times the amount of people that illegally, 3 times the population of Phoenix that have come into this country. It's not going to bode well for them when people start really looking in the mirror. But I will say this, and you and I both know this: people are stupid for some reason. I don't know. I wonder, like, God gave us such a brilliant mind, but for some reason we waste it on video games and watching sports or something. I don't know what we be doing, but the average person isn't intelligent enough to dig a little bit deeper and listen a little bit longer and compartmentalize just a little bit further. They just listen to the first thing they say. I can go out right now, do a man on the street, which, Nick, I think we should do it. My guy over here, Nick the sidekick. We should do a man on the street, and I'll ask people, what is qualified immunity for police officers? Nobody knows what that is, and they say they're against it. You go out on the streets, you like Kamala Harris? Yeah, I'm voting for Kamala. Hey, just what's one of the greatest things that Kamala has done in your opinion? They literally have nothing to say. Somebody's done it. I'm going to make a video about it later. They went out and asked all these people, and they were all gung-ho about Kamala. And then when they say, what's the policy position that you like, they literally didn't even say nothing. They like, I don't know. You tell me what policies. So these people, I mean, it's sad, but this is why the Democrats play on people's emotions, because they know they're uninformed. They know they're low information voters. All they got to do is give them a little some trickery here and there, and they're going to the ballot box and signing their life away.
Yeah, really well said, Brandon. And like you said, people don't see it. Mainstream media don't talk about it. But the rise of our ability to speak on X, on Rumble, the platforms like yours are going to be critical in the next 4 months. I love what you do, the work that you do. I got the link to your socials, your website down there in the description below. I'd love to have you back on down the line anytime. Brandon Tatum, thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time today on the Alec Late Show.
Alec, God bless you, man, and I appreciate you. Great show.
All right, honored to have Brandon Tatum on the podcast. If you're not familiar with him for whatever reason, click the link down below. Google Officer Tatum, Officer Brandon Tatum. His stuff is always on point. He's got a great social media presence, great following, as you can see there. Obviously, well-spoken, all around good guy. So always love his content that he puts out. So if you're not following him, please do. You're certainly missing out. And it is. Listen, everybody knows, like we said at the top of our discussion there, that Kamala Harris is a DEI president or vice president. That was the reason why he chose her. There's no question about that. Now, they put Trump's feet to the fire to this yesterday during the Black Journalist Convention. So they pressed him on that and saying some of your supporters call him that. But this was the way that they started out. They came right at him tastelessly and classlessly, and this is how it opened up. This was the first opening gun. This is how it went. And you could see how they were setting the stage for this entire interview. Go ahead, take a listen.
Addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that.
Right. Unfactual, too, the way that she starts that whole thing. Now, of course, I'm going to get him. This was a woman with Trump derangement syndrome, not somebody saying, hey, what are you going to do to advance the black community? How does your record for black people fare against Kamala's? Let's get to the bread and butter of what we want to talk about here. Right away, you come out with these attacks against Trump like an idiot. You don't mention any of the stuff that Trump has done for the black community. What has Kamala Harris done for the black community? We had our first black president of the United States, Barack Obama. What did he do for the black community? You're sitting in this interview was in Chicago. What have the Chicago Democrats done for the black community? You're sitting there and you're criticizing one of the only men that's done anything for the black community in the last 3 decades. So shame on that ABC reporter. I don't even know what her name is, but I think Harrison Faulkner there was the only one that was kind of fair, giving Trump some questions and stuff like that. But the one thing that went, I think, viral about it was when he's talked about Kamala's race, how all of a sudden now she claims to be, I'm a black candidate, where prior to that, running up for the Senate and everything else, she always referred to herself as an Indian or a South Asian. That's how she always introduced herself. Here's a clip of that. Take a listen.
I stand before you as the first candidate for Vice President of the United States of South Asian descent. When my mother, Shamala, stepped off the plane in California at 19 years old, she didn't have much in the way of belongings, but she carried with her lessons from back home. Growing up, my mother would take my sister, Maya, and me back to what was then called Madras, because she wanted us to understand where she had come from.
Okay, so, but now the tide has changed. Now when she needs the black vote, she's going to identify as the black person. So her father was Jamaican. And so that's, obviously that's not African American, but whatever. So here was one of the interesting things. The way that she has laughed and made fun of her own heritage as a Jamaican. Here's what she said back in 2019 on a radio interview. She was asked whether she favored legalizing marijuana. Kamala Harris laughingly replied, "Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?" So her dad did not like that, and he slapped back. Writing in a Jamaican newspaper, he said his parents would be spinning in their graves to see their proud heritage being connected in any way, jokingly or not, with the fraudulent stereotype of a pot-smoking joy seeker and in the pursuit of identity politics. So that was her own father who slammed her for using that. Oh, half my family's from Jamaica, and of course I'm for pot. So, I mean, even, that's the identity politics of the left. We all heard her, I used to listen to Snoop Dogg when I was in college. Meanwhile, Snoop Dogg was like little pooch, right? He wasn't even a rapper yet. So everything is catering and what do they call it? Placating to the crowd, right? It's pandering to the crowd. All right, let's turn the tide here because we got an important one here now, too, coming up. And then I'm going to finish off with Terry Schilling. But first, let's get to this. New footage. I'm going to play it here. I'll give you the full cut. This was the footage. And if you look here, you see the shadowy figure, Matthew Crooks. Now, they told us he was shimmy sliding across the sloped roof there. This looks like this guy's in a walk. He looks like he's walking on the roof here. He's obvious that you could see him. Now that he's in the red dot, you could see him there. And then he pops up again. And here's the eye-opening thing. Look at how close that roof is from this angle. Now, the guy that shot this video was shot himself 2 times. This is the guy, one of the guys that was shot, James Copenhaver, who was shot twice, I believe. But he was critical condition, but this was his footage. So from his vantage point, you could see the guy on the roof. How in the world does the Secret Service miss this guy? He wasn't shimmy sliding or slithering like a slug up there on the roof. This kid looks like he was walking up there. How did they miss him? We've heard lies from both the Secret Service and the FBI. This is either a massive, massive failure and cover-up of the failure or a massive conspiracy to murder President Donald Trump. It's one or the other. Either these guys are in on it or there is a massive, massive problem with our Secret Service, FBI, which we know that there is too. So it could be, listen, this could be a marriage of both things, right? There could be the people who weren't even in on it probably failed at their job. Maybe they just counted on that. I don't know. And now you have Speaker Johnson, who is putting together a Trump assassination attempt task force, and he's not including on the task force Eli Crane and Corey Mills. These are 2 guys that have spent time at the site, more time than the FBI and the Secret Service directors have spent there, right? Eli Crane, former Navy SEAL sniper, and Corey Mills, a combat veteran of the Army. These are 2 guys that should definitely be on the task force to investigate this. The fact that they are not really puts up red flags. Why would they not put these 2 guys on the task force? We're trying to get answers here. Those are 2 guys that are going to haunt you until they figure it out. These aren't 2 guys that are just going to go along, oh, we have a meeting today, tomorrow. These are guys that are going to be dedicating every minute to figuring out who was behind trying to kill the former president of the United States. They're hound dogs, these guys. Unleash what we have. Eli Crane is going to be a thorn in their side. Take the reins off that guy and let him go. He'll get to the bottom of it. And he'll bring in the right people to help him find out what happened. We see this video. This guy, they told you this guy was crouching low on the roof. This guy was up there. You could clearly see him. They didn't just miss this guy. They allowed this guy to shoot at the president. So many things went wrong in this entire thing, man. So many things. And you just smell a rat. It's hard to believe it's any other way. And one of the other things now, too, I just wanted to do this before I get to Terry Schilling. You had this. Here's what we talk about our Justice Department, right? How insulting is this as we come up again to the anniversary of 9/11 next month? The Justice Department strikes a plea deal with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of the 9/11 attack, who's been sitting in Guantanamo Bay for 23 years, whatever the freak he's been down there for. They strike a plea deal and take the death penalty off the table for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and these other two humps. How in the world is that? Now you have to remember, the families of everyone that lost a loved one on 9/11, they're enraged by this. The ones that have spoken out already about this have slammed it. Obviously, they've been waiting for 2 decades to see this guy fry. But no, that's not what we're doing. We're going to take the death penalty off the table. It's not only just the families that died in 9/11. It's the families of every soldier, every sailor, every airman that was killed in Iraq and Afghanistan in the 20-year war that followed because of this 9/11 thing. This thing that, what is it? What's her name? Rashida Tlaib, or is it the other lunatic that says, oh, just some people, or Ian Omar, some people did some things on 9/11. I'm sure Ian Omar is happy. I'm sure Rashid Tlaib is happy that they took the death penalty off of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed because they hate America just as much or the same way as Khalid Sheikh Mohammed hates it. And they'd love to see the country destroyed. But how do you not, the mastermind of 9/11, if that guy doesn't get the death penalty, what's the death penalty for? So that was another disgrace that I thought. I don't know what you guys thought about it. Hit me down below with a comment. What's your take on it? And now we're going to turn our attention to the last topic here of the day, which is the attack on the nuclear family, the attack on parental rights. Nobody is on top of this more than my next guest. He is the founder of the American Principles Project, Terry Schilling. They have just launched an $18 million campaign called Every Family Votes. Ain't that the right thing? And they're trying to make this, I'm going to get into it with Terry here, but it's like they're trying to make it sound like J.D. Vance is anti-childless people. The left hates the nuclear family unit. They hate it. There's no doubt about it. So we're going to get into all this stuff here and find out how to fight back, especially too with all this trans stuff, which has gotten way out of control. We saw that at the Olympic opening. All right, let's do this. Let me bring Terry onto the show.
You're listening to the Alec Lake Show. The future is family.
All right, joining me now, Terry Schilling. Welcome back to the Alec Lake Show.
Thanks for having me, Alec.
Well, it's an honor whenever I get a chance to speak to you. I love the work that you're doing. There's a few things I want to get to. We got to start out with this $18 million campaign, the Every Family Votes. Talk to me and the listeners about it. What are you guys aiming to do with this?
Well, 3 years ago, American Principles Project founded what we call the Big Family. And what it is it's a competitor to all the other special interest groups in the country. You know, in D.C., everyone's got a special interest arm. There's big pharma, big oil, big tobacco, there's the teachers unions, but Big Family is all about putting the family at the heart of all public policy. So if a law takes away parental rights, we want to crush that. And we've been running campaign ads on this. We've spent millions of dollars in the elections over the past 3 cycles, contacting swing voters who care about family issues. We've shifted 280,000 votes so far. We want to double that number this year alone. And we are targeting the 7 million most persuadable voters across the top 7 swing states for the presidential race and the U.S. Senate. And we're going to spend $18 million to saturate these people and make sure they know just how toxic and harmful Kamala Harris's presidency will be for their family and their children. Right? It's very clear this election, the lines couldn't be more stark between Donald Trump, who has been a pro-family champion, and Kamala Harris, who has done, it seems, everything she possibly can to destroy the innocence of our kids and take away parental rights. And so that's what our $18 million campaign is all about. It's about installing the next generation of pro-family politicians that are going to fight back against all these crazy people that want to hurt us.
Terry, I love it. I couldn't be more supportive of what you guys are doing. This is the fight. The parents are the underdog in this country right now, and this is a pro-family versus anti-family election is what it is. These people are anti-family. They're anti-nuclear family. They want nothing more than to destroy the nuclear family. They foam at the mouth when they see a happily married, intact family together. It bothers them to no end. And so this Kamala Harris is no different. She's as Marxist, as leftist as you could possibly get when it comes to these issues. And we know California California is a place where they just got their law passed so that they can keep secrets in the school system from the parents when these kids when they say, oh, you can use a different name, you can use a different pronoun, and they don't tell the parents. And when that happens, people should start going to prison.
No, that's exactly right, Alec. And what's even more criminal is they're taking away custody from parents who protect their kids from these types of predatory and fraudulent medical practices. This is malpractice, medical malpractice at the highest degree. I mean, we haven't seen something as egregious as, sex changes for kids since, they started doing lobotomies, right? Which are no longer practiced in this country. They need to go the same way. But it's absolutely, Alec, parental rights are so broad in this country. We give parents a lot of latitude to make the right decisions for their kids across the spectrum: education, healthcare, all this. Parents don't lose custody for denying their kids chemotherapy or radiation treatment when they have cancer if the parents deem that it would be too painful or not worthwhile for the child. But for some reason, somehow, we're going to take custody away from parents who protect their kids from sex change procedures and chemical castration drugs. This is nuts. This is not about actually the health of the child. This is about destroying the American family, and that is what makes it clear.
Yeah, great points, Terry. And I had Dr. Eitan Heim on a few weeks ago. He was the whistleblower there at that Texas Children's Hospital. And he was just exposing the fact that they were doing this, that they were castrating these kids, mutilating them, putting them on these puberty blockers. And so now he's facing like 10 years in prison for it. They want to come back hard. And for what reason, I don't know what it is they have with these children. And I want to get your take, just because it starts with this kids in school, changing pronouns. You could be a girl if you want. And then it goes to the sports, right? I've had Riley Gaines on here, big advocate for this. We just seen in the Olympics, on the biggest stage in sports, you had a man beat the hell out of this Angela Carini, this Italian boxer, training 4 years to get to this spot. A man comes in and blasted her in 40 seconds and ended her dream. And if that doesn't make men around this country, women around this country sick, I don't know what it'll take.
No, listen, men in America, men globally, we need to stand up. We need to start protecting our wives, our daughters, our sisters, our aunts. We have to step into this role and become leaders. We have abandoned so much. And it's easy to justify it, right, Alec? Because you and I both watch the news every now and then, and we see just there's a little glimpses that we get of the news. It's just nonstop toxicity aimed at destroying men, aimed at demasculizing men and emasculating them and making them weak and making them out to be evil. Men are protectors, and we have to do our job. And if we're not going to step into the arena to protect our daughters when it comes to sports, when it comes to their private spaces, I mean, these laws, they're so cumbersome and broad that they put men in women's prisons, right? Men in women's private spaces, men in women's showers, men in women's sports. It's incredibly dangerous for this to be allowed to happen California started allowing men into the women's prisons. And then all of a sudden, the pregnancy rate among female inmates started increasing dramatically. I wonder what's behind that.
Yeah, shocker. And then Kamala Harris also wants to pay taxpayers to pay for the sex changes for these prisoners and then put them in, continue to put them into the women's prisons. It's nuts. So it's like if you were a criminal today, like a professional criminal, you'd be stupid to not identify as a woman. This way, in case you get pinched, you can go into the women's prison, right? I mean, that's got to be part of the plot when you're coming up with a big scheme, because it seems like a no-brainer. But I wanted to get, and then I'm going to go back to the every family votes in just a second. But J.D. Vance continues to come under the gun here. He's the family man. They take his words, twist his words as if he's saying, if you don't have children, he has an attack against you. And that's not at all what this guy was trying to say. He was just trying to say, which I believe is having a family, having children is the greatest gift that God can give you during this life experience. So he was promoting family. They try to knock him as an attack on people that don't have kids. And so they're trying to twist it all around. What was your take on all that?
Look, I think what JD, his entire operation, his from everywhere that he comes from, right? Everything that he champions, everything that he talks about, it's always about the forgotten man, the people that are most vulnerable, the people that have been left behind by our politicians and by the lobbyists in our capital, right? These are the people that he cares about. And what JD Vance is talking about is the ultimate forgotten man, which is the father, the mother, the family, the children in these households. They aren't prioritized through our government or through the laws that we're passing. Our laws are prioritizing single, never married people who don't ever plan to have kids. That might be representative of the American people. I don't think it is, but it's definitely not good. It's definitely not going to lead to a hopeful and better future in tomorrow. We have a tomorrow that's coming. We need good citizens. We need good people that are going to fill that tomorrow, that are going to be the workers of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow. I mean, I sound like a high school counselor, right? Because of how cliche and niche this is, but it's absolutely true. Children are our future, and families are the best thing to raise children in. And we have to get back to that. But they're attacking JD Vance, Alec, for one very simple reason. They're afraid of JD Vance. They've never seen anyone like this. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing these weak-kneed Republicans who are upset that Trump didn't choose their guy, who are saying that Trump made the wrong call here. Even if JD had a perfect, sterling record without any flaws, the media would just make things up and lie. That is what they do. They are Marxists. Everything is justified. The means are justified by the ends for these progressive Marxists in this country.
Yeah, you're right. And Trump made the pick. So it's like, it's move forward. Stop turning the page back. That's it. He moved forward. Let's get on board and let's get Trump into office here. And you're right. The future is family. That is the truth. And you see there's a decline in people in this country having kids, getting married later in life. And that's all because of this entire Marxist ideology that's been forced on these people through the college system and through the universities. This is what they're seeing. You don't need to have kids. You don't need to get married. Go for this. Go for that. Go for the material things in life. They've been lied to, and then they get to a certain point and they look back and say, oh damn, I wish I would have had kids years ago. I wish I would have started a family. I missed out on so many things in life. And those messages got to be rung home. Now, part of this Every Family Votes campaign that you have, what is the advertisements, the ads that you go, how do you attract the people that might not be on the same board of thinking here? What is the goal of the ads? How do you kind of structure this to try to reach those people that aren't on this side?
Well, Alec, I love the question, and this is my favorite part about what we do because of how scientific and surgical it is. We do what's called a consumer research panel. And essentially what this does is it allows us to run campaign ads, the ads that we want to run, and put them in front of voters and test them out to see how this impacts their vote. And once we get the results from that, we have 250 lines of consumer data that we then use to build a model for the people most persuadable on these pro-family issues. We're exposing Kamala and her agenda when it comes to our children's innocence, when it comes to taking away parental rights, when it comes to putting men in girls' sports, this whole trans industry, right? We're testing all these messages to see just who is impacted by it, who's willing to shift their vote and vote for someone new after they learn just how extreme she is. And then once we have this, we match the model to the voter file, and we go guns a-blazing. We'll have 7 million voters that we've identified at the end of these consumer research panels that are the most persuadable, highest propensity voters that are most likely to show up at the polls. And we're going to shift, our track record is very clear. Our vote impact is around 5.5% of the target demographic that we have. So we're very excited. This stuff works on the margin, right? And that's what we're looking at in this election. It's going to be a very close election. And this is the type of stuff that can put a very close election over the top for the good pro-family good guys.
Yeah, well said. And that was going to be, my next thing is just, this is now going to be a close election. Before it looked like it was going to be a blowout, Donald Trump against Joe Biden. Nobody, even the Democrats, were going to go hide and not even come out to vote. But now we're seeing definitely a change between the two candidates now. And Kamala Harris is somebody now, too, that when Donald Trump goes up against her, we saw what just happened with Trump at the Black journalist convention there. So they come viciously to attack Donald Trump. And whenever he's on stage and talking to women, they try to frame it right away as, oh, everything he says, he can't get away with saying one sentence that doesn't look sexist or misogynist or he's talking down to women. They always try to spin it and turn around, even though they're the ones that are attacking him. Donald Trump sat there and remained calm, cool, and collected and just called them out for the rudeness that they portrayed. But what do you see with Donald Trump going head to head here with Kamala Harris, especially during like a debate? How do you think this all plays out? What should be Trump's move when he goes to debate Kamala Harris here?
Look, if I were President Trump, and this guy is incredibly smart, he doesn't need any more strategists. He's exceptionally brilliant when it comes to this stuff. But I would keep it very simple. I talk about national security, what Kamala Harris has done to our border as the borders are in this country, and how many criminals and terrorists and horrific things that she's allowed to come into this country. I then focus on the economy and how the economy isn't working for really anyone in this country besides the most politically politically connected people here. The teachers unions, if you're a teacher in this country, you've been failing left and right every single year. Our kids are getting dumber and less likely to read at grade level, but that doesn't stop you from getting that cushy pension or that annual pay raise every year. But then also I break it down in terms of how she wants to destroy the American family, how she's pushing transgenderism and gender confusion on our kids in schools, right? Through executive orders, not through laws that the American people have passed their elected representatives, but through executive orders. And unelected bureaucrats enforcing it, denying lunch money to poor kids in schools if their school doesn't allow men to compete against girls simply by claiming to be girls, right? I would hit her on her attacks against the family, her destruction of our economy, and their destruction of our national security. I'd keep it very, very simple.
And if this doesn't wake enough men up, Terry, like dads, blue collar workers, these guys that are sitting on the sidelines that don't get involved in politics, that don't want to bother to go and vote, if this doesn't wake you up, I don't know what it's going to take, because obviously everything has gotten more expensive. I've got 4 kids. I know you've got a whole bushel of kids over there, but everything from the grocery store to the gas pump, these are things that are affecting all of us. All of us are seeing it, and then they're shoving the trans stuff down your throat so much. If it doesn't stop now, it's going to just topple over. We're never going to get a chance to get a grip on it. It's now or never. So what was it like too? I know I seen you post a picture and you were talking to Donald Trump. What's his take on the American Principles Project and the Every Family Votes campaign?
Well, Alec, I'll tell you, I never kiss and tell, but I will tell you that President Trump's he's fantastic. I mean, I left the meeting. We were filming a documentary on the culture war in the military that Biden and Harris have been waging against very good patriotic people and kicking them out. But I'll tell you, I left that meeting enraged at what the mainstream media and what these progressive Marxist activists have done to him. He is not just a smart and brilliant man. He has incredible knowledge, but he is a good man. He walked in the room. He's in charge. And he's competent. He asked us real questions about issues of the day, about this policy and that policy, what we thought about the JD pick. He's a naturally curious person, and he's genuinely interested. And I walked away just not being enraged about just what they've done to him and his image, but what they've deprived the American people of. Right. There is a deprivation to the American people of a president that they should be loved. Right. That they should be endeared to. They should be erecting statues to this guy right now. That is how good of a president he is. He's larger than life. He's right up there with Reagan and FDR and JFK for the moment that we're in. The level of weaponization that our government is doing to good people, the best people, really. I mean, the people that keep the country going, the average everyday people that go to work, pay their taxes, raise their kids, don't cause problems, don't commit crimes. That's who our government's being weaponized against. It's absolutely criminal, and he's the only guy standing in the way. And they're throwing everything they can at him to ruin his life, ruin his reputation, and to keep us from loving him, and to keep us from working with him and respecting him and learning more about him. He's a legendary figure. He's larger than life. And honestly, the media should feel so guilty. They shouldn't be able to sleep at night based on what they have done to him and how unfair they have treated him and what they have deprived the American people of, which is a fantastic and amazing, larger than life president in Donald Trump.
Really well said, Terry. And he's funny. I mean, Donald Trump is
hilarious.
Naturally funny, and that's I do agree, and I said this after after they took the election there, and he wasn't proud to say, man, they really robbed us of what could have been such a fun 4 years of having Donald Trump. There could have been so many great things they could have done with him being president. We were denied all of that. We didn't get a chance. We never got a chance to enjoy the Donald Trump presidency from the beginning. They started right with the Russia stuff, right out of the gate. Even when he came down the escalator to start the whole thing, we never got a chance to really dig in and really enjoy it and have some fun with it. And he could have done so much more for this country had all these people not been in there to undermine him, which is what we saw, which is what I pray doesn't happen this time when he gets the administration. I hope he gets the right people surrounding him in there that are going to just help, exacerbate all these good things he's going to do for America, because he had so many different roadblocks, not from just the left, but from the right the last time he was there.
No, I think that's exactly right. We've got problems across the board, and it's because there's been a uniparty that's been running this town, right? And the uniparty at the highest levels in both the Republican and Democratic Party, they did everything they could to stop him and misdirect him and turn his attention to other areas. And it's just criminal. But we're going to turn this thing around. We're going to get the job done. President Trump has clean house. He's an incredible guy. I'm very excited for the next 4 years, but we have to finish the job and get him elected. And I think that not only are family issues going to be pivotal to winning this election, I think American families are going to be pivotal, actually showing up at the polls and voting in massive numbers to protect our kids, protect our daughters, protect our wives, and protect what makes America truly great, protect the American dream, which is ultimately the American family.
Yeah, 100%, Terry. Love the message. Let the people know here, American Principles Project. Where can they go to find out more about that and the Every Family Votes campaign?
Okay, so actually you're coming at this at the perfect day because we just launched our Big Family 2.0 video. So you can check that out at family.vote. You can sign up, get engaged with the Big Family. We hold monthly teletown halls where you get to ask questions. We give you huge updates on all the policies affecting the American family across the country. So go to family.vote and sign up today.
Damn, that's simple. Family.vote. I love it. Terry Schilling, I really do appreciate everything that you're doing. I know that the future of this country is family. The parents are the underdog. They need fighters like you in there for the American family. I'd love to have you on back down the line anytime. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time today on the Alec Lace Show.
I will come on anytime. Thanks so much for having me, Alec.
All right, honored to have Terry Schilling join me on the podcast today. What'd you guys think about the interview? America Principles Project, family.vote. Get over there and check it out. You know what? I'm going to pull it up right now, and we're going to play. He just has this out. So let me play the ad that he's talking about that they just launched today. Take a look.
Summer is the best, especially if you've got a family. Cookouts, pool days, and backyard football. But you know what's the worst? Government schools. They're indoctrinating our kids, and they're making them dumb. I bet you didn't know that over 2/3 of our kids can't read or do math at grade level. A lot has changed over the past few years. 3 years ago, we only had 5 kids, and now we have 7. But 3 years ago, we formed APP's Big Family to give families a voice when it comes to public policy and elections. And thousands of you joined, and we got so much done. 3 years ago, we had almost nobody protecting our kids or families. And now, we've got 25 states protecting girls' sports, 25 states protecting kids from the gender mutilation industry, and 19 states are now protecting kids from adult content online. We've got so much done, but we still have a long way to go. This election couldn't be more pivotal for American families. Kamala Harris has made it a core policy priority to attack parents and families. She's even classifying parents as potential domestic terrorists just for showing up at school board meetings. Are you kidding me? There's only one guy in this race that's promised to protect our families and our kids, and that's Donald Trump. President Trump has our back, and we need to have his. Elections are crucial to the future of our country, and unlike Hollywood, academia, or corporate America, you and I can make a difference right now. And that's why APP's Big Family is launching our $18 million Every Family Votes campaign to finish the job and elect a president that will defend us against all these crazy people.
And we mean every family.
So what are you waiting for? Join APP's Big Family today and get engaged. Go to family.vote and sign up today to help save this country. It's going to take a big family to save America.
Couldn't be more on board with the messaging that I'm supporting right here on this podcast. I'm telling you guys, I really truly believe the American family is going to be the one that is going to win this election in November. Parents are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so I love the work that they're doing with the American Principles Project. Somebody has to have a voice in Washington for the family. The American nuclear family's been under attack for decades here. All right, we know that the government loves to break the family up so that people can be dependent on the government. They don't want you to be dependent on your family. They want you to be dependent on their family, the government family, the welfare state, the welfare system. That's what this is all about. So they have completely destroyed the families in this country. They've broken them down so much, and it's time that the families that are intact, that are left in this country, start standing up for what's right. And I love the fact that Terry Schilling is doing that over there. And this is what I was talking. Let me put this picture up here because we are at the point now. Here's this poor girl, Angela Carini. We're at the point where we are allowing women to get beat up in sports. This is in boxing, Olympic boxing. You're going to allow a man to compete against women? What the world has happened to us here as a society? What a disgrace this is. This is a video of her, and I'll put this up here on next to me. This is a video of her when she finally won and found out that she was going to the Olympics. You see right here? This is her talking to her father on a FaceTime, how proud she was. This was her moment, her dream. She was headed to the Olympics, and she had that dream stolen from her by a dude because these progressive left lunatics think this is okay. And it's not okay, and it's got to be stopped. It is a disgrace what's happening here. So grateful to Terry Schilling here for giving me a few minutes of his time. And also to Officer Brandon Tatum. Let me know what you guys thought about the interviews here. I tried to hit you guys with as much as I can. I was scheduled to have Eric Prince on the show, Navy SEAL. I wanted to get into so much stuff about the Trump assassination attempt. Hopefully I can reschedule with him for next week. We'll see if we can make that happen. But that's really all I have for you guys today. I'm going to see who else I can schedule for next week. Follow me on X at Alec Lace. And I'll put up my guest announcements. Again, we started the whole new month here of August. Great way to start it out. 2 awesome guests on the show today. If you missed out on any of July's action, I played some of the... I showed you some of the guests that I had here on the podcast in July. Go check them out. And go check out all the rest of the interviews I got on the channel. Thank you for being here. If you're new, hit the subscribe button or hit that follow button. And don't forget to share this broadcast with everybody in your network, in your neighborhood. Let them know about what we're doing here at the Alec Lace Show. I appreciate you stopping by. I'll be back here Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Rumble. God bless all you parents out there. God bless you listeners. God bless our police, first responders. God bless our military, active and veteran. God bless America. And I will catch you guys Tuesday right back here on Rumble. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.